Hello everyone. Let's talk about Andrew Marvell's poem, To His Coy Mistress. To His Coy Mistress, published in 1681. Andrew Marvell, 1621-1678. To His Coy Mistress was written in the 17th century, one of the most famous carp diem or seize the day poems in English literature. The poem contains 46 lines. The poem is both romantic and seductive, combining wit, urgency, and deep philosophical concerns about time and immortality. It is considered one of the greatest metaphysical poems, blunting intellectual argument with passionate emotion. The poem is a persuasive monologue where the speaker urges his lover to embrace love and passion before time runs out. Andrew Marvell was a metaphysical poet known for his wit, intellectual arguments, and a use of conceits, extended metaphors. Summary and a structure of the poem. The poem is divided into 3 sections, each representing a different stage of the speaker's argument. The first stage, that is, if we had all the time in the world, that is, embodying ideal love. Had we but a world enough and time, this coyness lady were no crime. The speaker starts by saying that if time were unlimited, her reluctance or coyness or shyness should be fine. He describes how he would patiently admire every part of her, spending centuries on each. He uses hyperbolic or exaggerated imagery. He would love her from the floods of the biblical past to the end of time. His love would grow vaster than empires and more slow. This section portrays ideal eternal love, which he argues is not possible in reality. The second section, that is, but we do not have time section, that it portrays mortality and death. But at my back I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near. The speaker shifts to a darker tone, warning that time is running out. Death is personified as a winged chariot rushing toward them. He reminds her that when she dies, her beauty will turn to dust. Her virginity will be wasted in the grave. The phrase, then a worm shall try their long preserved virginity, is shocking, suggesting that if she waits too long, only worms will touch her, not a lover. This section emphasizes the brevity of life and the inevitability of death. Now moving on to the third section, that is, so let us seize the moment. That emphasizes the theme of carp diem. Now, therefore, while the youthful hue sits on thy skin like morning dew, the speaker urges her to embrace love and passion now, before beauty fades. He uses fiery imagery to emphasize urgency. For example, let us roll all our strength and all our sweetness up into one ball. That means they should unite passionately. Rather at once our time devour than languish in his law-chapped power. Instead of letting time consume them slowly, They should burn with passion. He acknowledges that they cannot stop time, but they can make the most of it. Now let's analyze the themes. First of all, carpe diem or seize the day. That is, the main message is to embrace love and pleasure before it is too late. The second theme, that is transience of life. Time is portrayed as unstoppable and destructive. Death is inevitable, so delaying love is pointless. Next theme, that is love and physical desire. The poem mixes romantic admiration with a sensual urgency. He argues that the love should be passionate and not wasted. The next theme, power of persuasion. The poem is a structured argument using logic, emotion, and imagery to convince the mistress. Now let's have a look at the literary devices and techniques Marvell has used in the poem. First of all, metaphysical conceits. There is the comparison of time to a winged chariot is an imaginative metaphor. Then a hyperbole or exaggeration we can see in the lines like 200 years to adore each breast. It is an over-the-top claim about patience. Then we can see personification, like a time and a death are given human-like qualities, that is chasing them, devouring them. The imagery we can see from majestic empires to decaying corpses. The poem creates a striking visuals. Now let's explain the main lines from the poem. First one, had we but world enough and time, this coyness, lady, were no crime. These opening lines set up a hypothetical situation. If there were infinite time and space, the speaker wouldn't mind the lady's coyness or hesitation. The tone is initially gentle and romantic, acknowledging her right to delay. However, the use of the word crime already suggests a subtle pressure. It implies that her hesitation is problematic given life's limits. Marvell introduces the carpe diem theme by contrasting ideal love with the real-world urgency. The next line, though by the Indian Ganges side shouldst rubies find, I by the tide of Hampa would complain. Marvell juxtaposes the exotic east, that is the Ganges, with the mundane west, that is the Hampa, to show how far they could roam if time allowed. The lady is elevated in status, searching for precious rubies, while he passively complains, highlights his devotion. The romantic hyperbole stresses that he would wait endlessly if time permitted. The imagery of distant lands also reflects the era's colonial imagination and a longing for exploration. Next line. Love you 10 years before the flood, and you should, if you please, refuse till the conversion of the Jews. These lines use biblical and eschatological references to exaggerate the time span he is willing to wait. Before the flood refers to Noah's flood, and a conversion of the Jews was often seen as an event that would precede the apocalypse. The speaker ironically offers eternal patience to highlight his absurdity given human mortality. The use of religious and historical allusions underscores the mock serious tone and furthers the poem's persuasion. The next line. But at my back I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near. This is one of the poem's most famous lines, marking a shift from fantasy to stark realism. The metaphor of time's winged chariot evokes the inevitability of death and aging. The auditory image, that is, I always hear, creates a sense of urgency and a looming pressure. Marvell introduces the fear of lost youth, turning the tone from playful to serious. Next line. And yonder all before us lie, deserts of vast eternity. These lines extend to the grim tone by describing the afterlife as barren and empty. Deserts of vast eternity suggest death as a lifeless, unromantic place, void of passion or fulfillment. The metaphor contrasts sharply with the earlier vibrant and essential imagery. Marvell uses it to urge that delaying pleasure is foolish, as eternity offers no compensation. Next line. Thy beauty shall no more be found, nor in thy marble vault shall sound my echoing song. Here Marvell emphasizes the futility of beauty and poetry after death. The marble vault symbolizes the tomb where neither physical allure nor romantic words have meaning. The reference to my echoing song evokes the tradition of love poetry, but it suggests it will be wasted if delayed. This is a direct appeal, that is, if she waits too long, even his poetic devotion will be meaningless. Now the next line. Now let us sport us while we may. This line encapsulates the carp diem theme, urging immediate enjoyment of life and love. The word sport implies both a playfulness and a sexual pleasure. The tone, that is, returns briefly to lightness, contrasting the previous solemn imagery of death. Marvell argues that action, not delay, best honors life's fleeting nature. The next line. And now, like amorous birds of prey, rather at once our time devour. The simile of amorous birds of prey is strikingly violent and essential. Instead of waiting passively, he urges that they seize the moment with intensity and passion. The word devour implies consuming time with a physical love rather than letting it consume them. This energetic imagery reflects a fusion of love, aggression, and urgency. Now the next line. Let us roll all our strength and all our sweetness up into one ball. This line combines erotic and metaphysical imagery, suggesting unity of body and soul in passion. The ball symbolizes compressed vitality, strength, that is physical desire, and a sweetness, that is emotional connection. Marvell's language suggests a fusion of opposites to make the most of the present, and also echoes the Renaissance ideal of harmonious wholeness through love. Now moving on to the last two lines of the poem. Thus, though we cannot make our sun stand still, yet we will make him run. Here, Andrew Marvell ends the poem with a paradoxical resolution. That is, while time can't be stopped, It can be outrun. The metaphor of the sun, that is an emblem of time, suggests they can master time by living fully in the moment. This is the final persuasive stroke of the argument. That is, seizing pleasure is a form of rebellion against mortality. It concludes the poem with a dynamic, assertive tone.